Hello YouTube. This video is about StorjShare or StorjShare and my initial impressions on getting it set up and using it. I was doing some YouTube research on cryptocurrency mining, and I stumbled across this video that talked about mining your hard disk drive. So I thought, well, that's interesting. So you got GPU mining and you got CPU mining, but now they're talking about hard disk drive mining. So I looked into it, and it turns out it's not technically really about mining your hard drive. It's more about renting out or making available to other people your hard disk drive that you're not currently using, and getting paid for that in a cryptocurrency coin. In this case, the Storj coin. Up in the left-hand corner there, it says StorjShare. So I went to the website, storj.io, downloaded the program. Turned out to be a little complex in terms of getting set up, which was not real user-friendly. Turns out that Storj coin is an ERC20 token on the Ethereum blockchain. So you need to have a wallet that will accept an ERC20 token, and of course my Coinbase wallet doesn't do that. So I had to set up an Ethereum wallet that does support ERC20 tokens, and that was not the most user-friendly. But I got that done. Then it turns out to get it to work correctly, it needs a static IP on whatever computer you're going to have the hard drives that you're going to share. So most initial network setups don't have static IPs for their PC, so I had to do that. And there are some. That's fairly straightforward, but there's some good documentation in Windows about how to do that. Excuse me. And then, so I got this software installed, and then it told me that my port, which I was using initially, was port 4000. That's the default port that the application sets up. Was having problems with my firewall. It would say, instead of being green under port, it was yellow with a tunnel in parentheses. So I had to learn how to do port forwarding on my router. So with the help of my son, who was really an expert in that kind of stuff, I was able to get that done. And now, as you can see, it's now green. You also notice that it says it's using port 5000. That's here, 5000 and 5001. It's because it turns out that port 4000 is also used by NiceHash for mining. So you can't both use the same ports. So I had to go in and configure this to use a separate port, which is part of the setup when you install. Well, actually, when you add a shared drive, you specify the port you want. So that was fairly straightforward. So I got that done, and here you can see as a result, everything's on green. I've got two drives. I've got 100 gigabytes on my G drive, which is my data drive on my gaming PC, and then I put in a 2 terabyte drive on that machine, which I had lying around and was not using. So I have two drives, and you can see computers, uptime is 6+ days. Peers, I think, is how many other nodes on the network you're talking with. I'm not sure positive about that. It does tell me that I'm connected, and how many file pieces, what they call shards, I've actually loaded. So you'll notice, here's the thing about this. You notice that on my 100 gigabyte drive, I've got about 8 kilobytes. Not very much, not even a percentage. And on my 2 terabyte drive, I've got 2 gigabytes. Also not very much. Now, I set this up on the 13th, and today is the 19th. So in 6 days, although I allocated, I wouldn't say a lot of space, I allocated certainly enough space to be useful. It hasn't really sent many files for me to make money on in terms of renting out my space. So you get paid for the space that's used, not the space that's allocated. So at this rate, I would be shocked if I make $1 a month, given how slowly it's allocating files to my space that I've identified as the space I want to rent out. So they only pay once a month, so I won't actually know until probably about a month from now exactly how much I am getting paid. The increase, it doesn't seem to increase very fast. I don't think it's changed at all in the last, certainly not in the last day, maybe not the last 2 days. So it's a real slow process of actually allocating and using the space that you said you want to rent out. So it's an interesting concept. We'll see. I suppose once it all gets allocated, even if it takes a year to do that, I may make some decent money that way. It's really not a big deal because it really didn't cost me anything. The space I already had available, so there was no expenditure for that. The only real expenditure is the electric costs for the drives. And the one drive I added, because the G drive was my data drive, so that was already being paid for just because it's my gaming machine. And the drive that I added that wasn't being used, 7 watts. So I calculated that with my electrical usage. That's about $1 a month. So as long as it pays more than $1 a month, I'm okay letting it slowly accumulate space and slowly increase the amount of money that it pays me on a monthly basis. So we'll see. I'll have a follow-up video at some point about how much I actually do make. We'll see what happens. There are some other alternatives for renting out space that I saw and decided I wasn't interested in. There's something called Burst. I didn't understand the business model of that. It seemed kind of, well, you're getting paid for not really doing anything other than formatting your disk with some information they have. So that didn't make a lot of sense to me. Another one was SIA Coin, which is actually renting out space on your drives, but they required you to buy some SIA Coin up front, which I didn't want to do because I wanted to keep this on the really inexpensive side. So I'm willing to pay $1 a month for electric costs to put a drive in, and that's okay. So we'll see what happens, and hopefully you'll have found this interesting and informative, even if not necessarily, well, it certainly tells you how slow the process is, so set some expectations there. But hope that helps.